the Aryan Brotherhood gang formed in 1964 in California's San Quentin prison as the state carceral system desegregated and racial conflict broke out between the newly integrated inmates. Today, the gang operates both inside and outside prisons, and although it clearly has a white supremacist ideology, it is above all a criminal enterprise, according to the Southern Poverty Law Center. Given the choice between making money and showing their racism, members virtually always go for the cash, meaning the gang has often worked with Latino and other gangs for profit. Members live by a motto of blood in, blood out, committing acts of violence and gang war to earn their place in the group, and are required to read Nazi literature and Sun Tzu's The Art of War. One estimate suggests the group, less than 0.1% of the U.S. inmate population, is behind nearly 20% of prison homicides. Today, we will look at some of the most gruesome homicides of the Aryan Brotherhood. These are their stories. Number 6. Aryan Brotherhood versus the Dead Man Incorporation. 4 members of the Aryan Brotherhood murdered John Albert O'Sullivan, 43, of Pasadena, at the Jessup Correctional Institution. After one member pleaded guilty to premeditated assassination, a jury found 2 others, Vincent Bunner, 27, and Calvin Lochner, 39, guilty of second-degree massacre. The alleged leader of the gang remains to be tried. O'Sullivan was a member of rival prison gang Dead Man Inc. An attack against a Brotherhood member at another prison prompted the gang's leader in Maryland, also housed in Jessup, to call for a retaliatory hit against O'Sullivan. Bunner, Lochner, and Brian Hare planned and carried out the attack, which was captured on video. The 3 men stormed O'Sullivan's cell, where he was shirtless and vulnerable. They stabbed and slashed him 54 times. At sentencing, State's Attorney Ann Colt Lightus focused on the men's track record. She said they preyed on the vulnerable and left a trail of blood behind. Lightus also said the men showed no remorse for their deadly assault, urging Circuit Judge to hand down the harshest penalty allowable. Meanwhile, Bunner's and Lochner's lawyers tried to deflect their culpability by saying their lives were at risk if they didn't strike. The defense attorneys also cast blame upon the Maryland Division of Corrections, where both their clients grew up. They said a culture of violence prevails in the prison system and that inmates hardly have a chance to be rehabilitated, one of the pillars of punishments in the criminal justice system. The judge handed down 30 years to be served after the completion of Bunner-Lochner their current sentences. Life for Bunner, 31 years for Lochner. They stabbed an individual 54 times, the judge said. I have no doubt that is the appropriate sentence. The court argued that Bunner's and Lochner's criminal records proved they were a danger to the rest of the county, noting that they targeted the vulnerable repeatedly. Pushing back on the defense's arguments, she conceded prisons are violent, but that not everyone is committing deadly acts. The court revisited Bunner's and Lochner's criminal history. She explained how Bunner has already executed 3 times in his short life. At 17, Bunner shot and assassinated 2 people during botched robberies in Glen Burnie. Lochner, meanwhile, violated a woman in the woods and viciously beat an elderly black fisherman in Baltimore during a racist attack. He shows no mercy to people, Your Honor, the court said of Lochner. He has shown a track record for preying on vulnerable people. As for the massacre of O'Sullivan, Lightus said Lochner planned to take out O'Sullivan's eye. She said both men bragged about the attack afterwards in letters and cards. The enjoyment was very clear, she said, asking the court not to give the men credit for the time they served in prison, waiting for the case to play out. The trial was the second for Bunner and Lochner. The court declared a mistrial during the first in March 2019 after 2 weeks of jury selection and testimony. The judge cited prosecutorial missteps related to an immunity agreement granted to a former Aryan Brotherhood member and a late disclosure of evidence. At trial, Lightus tried to convince the jury that gang members' actions were premeditated and that they conspired to commit the slaughter. Ellis and Patterson argued that they turned to the gang for protection and acted under duress during the massacre after the gang's leader gave an ultimatum: kill or be killed. They said their clients' actions amounted to manslaughter, not murder. The jury split the difference by finding Bunner and Lochner guilty of second-degree homicide, which does not require premeditation but carries a longer penalty than manslaughter. The lawyers raised some of the same arguments during sentencing as they did during trial. They said their clients were minorities in a prison system where people of color are overrepresented. Arriving at prison at a very young age, they had to band together for protection and acted upon the gang leader's orders. Everything Lochner learned about being an adult has happened in that setting. Ellis said Bunner never stood a chance after being locked up at age 18. They both pointed to testimony at trial, during which prison officials highlighted a system plagued by violence where gang leaders call shots and questioned how anyone could be rehabilitated in that environment. Both attorneys said their clients asked, even recently, about programs in the prisons to help them turn their lives around. The lawyers had no good answers, they said. Brian Hare, 32, the third participant in the fatal stabbing, pleaded guilty to first-degree massacre last February for his part in the killing. He has not yet been sentenced. Number 5. The case of Ronald Yandell. 2 California members of the Aryan Brotherhood prison gang were sentenced to consecutive life sentences in federal prison for homicide in aid of racketeering and other crimes committed while they were incarcerated in a Sacramento area prison. Ronald Yandell, a leader of the neo-Nazi prison gang, was convicted of ordering 2 inmates to execute another inmate in 2015 at California State Prison, Sacramento, also known as New Folsom State Prison. The 62-year-old Yandell of Pinole, Contra Costa County, had offered the 2 inmates membership in the Aryan Brotherhood if they were able to slaughter a member of a rival prison gang, Hugo Pinnell, according to court records. Pinnell, a member of the Black Guerrilla family gang, was one of the infamous San Quentin 6, inmates charged following a deadly escape attempt in 1971. Court records stated that before his massacre, Pinnell openly antagonized Aryan Brotherhood members with racist opinions and provocative statements, and was considered a high-value target for the enterprise. About a year after the murder, the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency intercepted calls made by Yandell on a contraband cell phone in which he bragged about directing the murders and sponsoring the killers for membership in the gang, according to a press release from the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of California. Yandell, who was serving 65 years to life for murder and voluntary manslaughter, also directed that money earned from the gang's criminal activities be directed to support the 2 executions. He was sentenced to 2 life terms plus 50 years. William Sylvester was also sentenced after being convicted of murdering another inmate at CSP Sacramento to earn his own membership to the Aryan Brotherhood. The U.S. Attorney's Office said the 56-year-old Sylvester of Norco, Riverside County, assassinated the inmate because he was a member of a rival gang that refused to recognize the Aryan Brotherhood's authority. Sylvester, currently serving a life sentence without parole, and another inmate carried out the attack while in an extremely restrictive prison environment after substantial planning, using prison-made shanks to stab the victim multiple times, the U.S. Attorney's Office said. In April 2024, a federal jury found Yandell, Sylvester, and co-defendant Danny Troxell, 71, guilty of RICO conspiracy, conspiracy to murder, murder in aid of racketeering, and multiple counts of drug trafficking following a 9-week trial. Yandell is also being investigated for allegedly attacking 2 prison guards who had escorted him to a medical appointment last month. The California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation said Yandell drew an improvised knife on the guards as he was being taken back to his cell. One of the guards subdued him with pepper spray, and no one was injured. In court Wednesday, Yandell and his lawyer cited an email from a U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration agent who wrote that upon learning of Yandell's participation in the hunger strike, "I want to crush him so bad. My teeth hurt. Number 4. The case of Justin Petty. Justin Petty, 41, of Los Angeles, an associate of the Aryan Brotherhood AB prison gang, pleaded guilty today to conspiracy to participate in a racketeering enterprise and conspiracy to distribute heroin and methamphetamine, U.S. Attorney Philip A. Talbert announced. According to court documents between 2011 and 2016, AB members and associates engaged in racketeering activity, committing multiple acts involving assassination and dope trafficking offenses. AB members Ronald Yandel and Billy Sylvester oversaw a significant heroin and methamphetamine trafficking operation from their shared prison cell. They used smuggled cell phones to direct their drug trafficking activity from their prison cell to the streets of Sacramento and other California cities. Using a contraband cell phone, Yandel and Sylvester communicated with AB members and associates to direct dope trafficking activities, membership in the AB, order murders, and oversee other criminal activities. In June 2019, 16 defendants were indicted for federal racketeering and other charges. The allegations include murders, drug trafficking, and other violent crimes. 9 of the defendants were inmates in California prisons, and 6 of those were serving life sentences for murder. According to the plea agreement, between August and September 2016, Petty conspired with AB members at 2 different state prisons, CSP Sacramento and High Desert State Prison, to send packages containing food stuffed with contraband items into each prison through Petty's employer, a contractor authorized by CDCR to pack and send sealed packages to inmates. On September 6, 2016, Petty's package was intercepted at CSP Sacramento and found to contain 3 cell phones, 2 phone charging cables, 6 grinding discs, 7 lighters, 1 cell phone battery, 7 small screwdrivers, 5 with flat heads and 2 with Phillips heads, 2 Bluetooth earpieces, 10 small metal saw blades, more than 20 grams of methamphetamine, and 15 grams of heroin. The contraband items were hidden inside food packages, including a box of Quaker Oats, a box of Honey Bun snacks, a box of fudge brownies, and similar items. The contraband was concealed in a manner designed to avoid detection by prison staff, who would have searched the box's contents before giving them to the inmate. Similarly, on September 6, 2016, another package from Petty was intercepted at which prison and found to contain about 10 cell phones, more than 200 grams of heroin, and 120 grams of methamphetamine. The cell phones and controlled substances were hidden inside boxes of oatmeal cream pies and fudge brownies. They were concealed in a manner designed to avoid detection by prison staff, who would have searched the box's contents before giving them to the inmate addressee. Number 3. The Pat Brady case. Pat Brady, 53, of Lake Forest, was sentenced to life in prison for assassination in aid of racketeering. According to court documents, between 2011 and 2016, Aryan Brotherhood members and associates engaged in racketeering activity, committing multiple acts involving murder, conspiracies to homicide, and dope trafficking crimes. AB members oversaw a significant heroin and methamphetamine trafficking operation from their California prison cells using smuggled cell phones to direct dope trafficking activities, order homicides, and oversee other criminal activities inside and outside of the prisons. According to Brady's plea agreement, on July 28, 2018, Brady assassinated an inmate at High Desert Prison as part of an AB-related assassination. Brady admitted that he committed the homicide because the victim falsely claimed to be an AB member and had run up a significant dope debt at his previous prison, both violations of the AB's expected codes of conduct. Brady willfully, deliberately, and with premeditation assassinated the victim in order to maintain his status within the gang. On January 17, 2024, Brady's co-defendant in the murder, Jason Corbett, 52, pleaded guilty to the same assassination in aid of racketeering. His sentencing is set for November 25, 2024. In April 2024, following a 9-week trial, a federal jury found 3 of Brady's co-defendants guilty of RICO conspiracy, conspiracy to murder, murder in aid of racketeering, and multiple counts of drug trafficking. Ronald Yandel, 61, Danny Troxel, 71, and Billy Sylvester, 55, are scheduled to be sentenced by Judge Mueller on September 11, 2024. Charges are pending against Kevin McNamara, 44, of La Palma, and Kathleen Nolan, 69, of Calamasa. A status conference is set for September 23, 2024. The charges against them are only allegations. They are presumed innocent until and unless proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Number 2. The case of Brant Daniel. Brant Daniel, 49, of Sacramento, pleaded guilty to execute in aid of racketeering as part of a long-running investigation into the California Aryan Brotherhood prison gang. This guilty plea and sentence represents a significant setback for one of California's most notorious white supremacist prison gangs, said U.S. Attorney. We will continue to use every law enforcement tool to protect the communities plagued by the violence and criminal activities of the Aryan Brotherhood. The Aryan Brotherhood hides behind prison walls while they direct criminal activities and brutal crimes of violence. In this case, Brant Daniel assassinated an individual in cold blood to maintain his status and prove allegiance to the prison gang, said DEA Special Agent in charge Brian Clark. We will relentlessly pursue and prosecute those who commit such heinous acts from behind bars and beyond. This is a great example of successful coordination among various agencies to ensure safety, said CDCR Secretary Jeff McCumber. I would like to express my appreciation to all the law enforcement agencies involved, and in particular, I commend the staff at California State Prison Sacramento for their dedication throughout the entire investigation. According to court documents, between 2011 and 2016, Aryan Brotherhood members and associates engaged in racketeering activity, committing multiple acts involving murder, conspiracies to murder, and dope trafficking crimes. AB members allegedly oversaw a significant heroin and methamphetamine trafficking operation from their California prison cells, using smuggled cell phones to direct drug trafficking activities, order murders, and oversee other criminal activities inside and outside of the prisons. As part of his guilty plea, Daniel admitted that he assassinated an inmate at Salinas Valley Prison on October 29, 2016, as part of an AB-related massacre. In particular, Daniel admitted that he committed the homicide because the victim failed to carry out a hit assigned by an AB member and then lost valuable drugs belonging to Daniel, and, by extension, the AB. In his plea, Daniel admitted that he willfully, deliberately, and with premeditation slaughtered the victim in order to maintain his status within the AB. Number 1. The Russians and Public Enemy. Number 1 versus the Aryan Brotherhood. 3 California inmates allegedly tied to the white supremacist Aryan Brotherhood prison gang ordered 7 Los Angeles area massacres in recent years, according to federal prosecutors. Kenneth Johnson, Francis Clement, and Johnson Stinson are charged with ordering the assassinations and racketeering and a secretive federal trial against the men, all of them state inmates serving life sentences. They all pleaded not guilty and have denied being gang members. The homicides took place around the Los Angeles area and occurred both on the streets and behind bars. The victims include Alan Roshansky and Ruslan Magomedgadjiev, who were fatally shot in Lomita in October 2020, allegedly on orders from Clement and Johnson. The assassinations reportedly came as the Aryan Brotherhood sought to intervene in a dispute between an Israeli organized crime figure and a Las Vegas businessman. The shooter reportedly said near an informant that he had been promised membership in the Brotherhood if he got those 2 Russian guys. California inmate Johnson Stinson, along with alleged associates Kenneth Johnson and Francis Clement, are accused of ordering scores of executions connected to the Aryan Brotherhood white supremacist prison gang. Another incident under scrutiny is a 2022 shooting in which James Yeagle, Jr. and Ronnie Ennis, Jr., alleged members of the Public Enemy No. 1 white supremacist gang, were slaughtered by fellow gang members, allegedly on orders from Clement. A separate assassination in February 2022, an execution-style shooting of Michael Brizendine in Lancaster, was also named in the case. Prosecutors allege the men facilitated slaughters inside prison, too, including the 2016 stabbing death of Brandon Lowry at Kern Valley State Prison, allegedly over dope debts, and the 2020 stabbing of Robert Hargrave as payback for allegedly attacking one of Stinson's co-conspirators in an alleged scheme to defraud a state employment agency during COVID. The accused men all have a lengthy criminal history. Johnson has been serving a life sentence since 1996 for attempting to execute a sheriff's deputy. Clement was convicted of second-degree murder and allegedly tied up a suspected prison inmate and cut out part of his tongue. Stinson has convictions from a 1979 assassination of a drug dealer and a 2007 homicide and racketeering case. He also allegedly served on the ruling commission of the Aryan Brotherhood,